Hello and welcome to this video. We're going to cover G2 Esports as part of our LEC 2025 preview. Ranked 5th going into the season. And you're going to be shocked by that because G2 have been the best team for years now. 5 years easily. It's kind of one of those deals, right? They've made some changes. And actually, directly relating the stats of Yike and Mickey to Schuman, who is not ranked because his stats are LFL and not Tier 1. But then LeBrav is, statistically downgrade from Mickey. It took the team from 1st to 5th. Like, that's kind of the gap between the two. And we have to think to ourselves as we go through this. Schuman is ranked roughly 8th place. Only because I think there are 3 junglers going into this season that I don't have ranked. It'd be him, Linkus, and 113. And sure, you could have Schuman the baddest of the 3. I don't really, give a shit either way, and that would make him 8th. Now, going forward, maybe he's better than one of the 7 junglers ahead of him, and thus he is better than 8th. So just think about it that way, and we'll work through this. So, G2 are 5th. The last 3 years, they've finished first, and were 2nd in 2022, behind Rogue. BrokenBlade in top lane is the best in his role in the LEC. Statistically, he's very good. He's one of the best in the world, statistically. Had a 3.8 KDA, 55.1 KP, 7.9 CS per minute. Solid numbers. KDA is nice. Positive 1 share differential. That's going to be important when we're talking about this G2 team and what has to happen now that Yike is out of the picture. 1.41 ROI. So BB, very strong in top lane, offering a punch that not many other top laners are really offering, which is why he's ranked so highly. And not to mention his champion pool. It's extensive. So at 15 minutes, he goes even, which is fine given his champion pool. A 2.24 vision efficiency. Not the best. You'd like him to be more efficient with his warding. But 30 champions in 115 games. That's a champion notion. 24 years old. Kesante, Zachar, and Nectin account for only 31% of his games, but yet are his 3 most played champions. So, less than 1 out of every 3 games, you actually see one of these 3 champions, and otherwise you're seeing something else. And that's why he is as good as he is, and why he's seen as the best top laner in the LEC. In the jungle, you have Schuman. Schuman played in the LFL and, ERLs last season. He's only played for a couple years. He's 20 years old. Had a 6.5 KDA, 73.7 KP, and a 6 CS per minute. Solid, really good numbers. Hell, he's not dying as a jungler. That's very good. He's involved 3 out of every 4 kills. Is he going to be the driving force for this team in the kill participation department? We'll have to see. Negative 2.2 share differential and a 1.31 ROI. So the share differential is good. He was packing a punch for his team. The 1.31 is very high for a jungler. Very efficient. 235 gold ahead, so showed that he was ahead of the junglers at his level. A 4.45 vision score per ward placed, 15 champions in 89 games, 20 years old. Most played was Volibear, followed by Maokai and Brand, which account for only 40% of his champion pool. Mid lane we have Caps. Caps statistically is ranked 2nd behind Humanoid, but as I said in the Fnatic video, I know that Caps is better than Humanoid, but stats are what they are, and we take them for what they are. They're close. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're close. And sometimes we can make sense of why they are the way they are and try and work through that. And, we can pretend like, stats don't matter because I like this player and I like what I see. Okay, well, somewhere statistically it has to show that they're good. So just find it. 4.4 KDA, 65.4 KP, 9.3 CS per minute. Solid numbers. Guy isn't super involved. Caps' KP was under 2/3 last year, but still solid farm to make up for that. A 4% share differential and a 1.55 ROI. So this is where things get kind of interesting. Caps was not extremely efficient in the damage to gold department last season. Now the mid lane share differential is okay. 4% is fine if your 80 carry is carrying the load. But that wasn't the case with this team. 155 gold ahead, 3.53 ROI. 24 champions in 115 games, ranked 2nd, 25 years old. Corki Azir Tristana, 44% of his champion pool. And then we have Hans. So this is where people are going to get really butthurt, is that Hans statistically is ranked 8th in the LEC going into this season. And I looked closer because I was like, okay, we're going to go a little deeper, just a tad bit, to try and explain this. So, 5.1 KDA, that's of course good. That's a high kill KDA. That's not the problem. 65.7 KP, it's a little lower than you'd like. Out of the 5380 carries I think I have, it's anywhere between 53 and 60, depends on the role, of players from Tier 1 last season that are being ranked. He had one of the lowest kill participations out of all of them. And you could say, well, the team's fighting away from him and this and that. Okay, that's possible. But this year, G2's going to have to probably fight around him, because I doubt Schuman's just going to replace Yike for what Yike offered from a carry perspective. 9.4 CS per minute, only a 2.6 share differential, though. This is where we get into a problem. And a 1.48 ROI. So he's not very efficient. Especially the team share stat. So 2.6. If we do the math here, we have a positive 7.6 and a negative 8.8. So this team has a negative 1.2 in the share department, which means somebody's going to have to deal more damage relative to the gold they received last season at this level. And I doubt it's going to be Schuman, because I personally would not expect the jungler, the rookie jungler, especially what was a carry-oriented meta last season, to then take on a bigger role from the carry perspective. Now, maybe Hans could take on a bigger role. That's what I'm getting at, is Hans has to do more than he did last year. What he did last year would not cut it on this upcoming year's squad. You can say meta this, meta that, but the stats say that despite the meta, there were 42 other 80 carries that were more efficient for their team from a share perspective. They offered their team more. And also, not to mention, they offered a better ROI. So you could say, yeah, well, the share, this, that, and the third, it's a good team, so everyone's dealing damage. Well, the ROI should be good too. There are good teams all around the world that don't have this problem. So that's kind of the thing. 225 gold ahead, so that the team won't have that problem. They do get ahead near the game. G2 still are one of the best teams. 2.9 vision efficiency, 20 champions in 115 games. 8th in his role, 25 years old. 3 most played, Callista, Varus, Ashe, 41%. So vision efficiency, of course, was boosted by so many Ashe games. And then we have LeBrav. LeBrav is ranked 8th in his role. Big drop off from Mickey. So there are some stats where he is very far the other way. So 2.9 KDA, 71 1 KP. I mean, those are standard support numbers. Negative 6.6 share differential, pretty standard. But you get a 0.61 ROI. And you say, it's a support, what does it matter? Well, it depends what you want out of your support. If you want a guy that's not going to deal damage and maybe play a purely traditional supportive role, LeBrav fits that. And if the meta ends up becoming that this season, that will also be a reason why G2, of course, are not 5th. They're better than 5th. That's just the way I'm looking at it. LeBrav certainly isn't the 8th, or, well, actually, what is equivalent to the worst LEC support that had stats last year. I mean, actually, technically, if you want to get really particular, Execute's LCK stats were better than LeBrav's. Of course, at a higher level of play, which also definitely matters in that way. But down 35 gold, 1.87 vision efficiency, not the best of all time. 15 champions, 81 games, 8th in his role, youngest player, 22 years old. He's not the youngest player. Schuman is. Rakan Rel Nautilus, 56% of his champion pool, so least diverse champion pool on the team. Dylan Falco is the coach, 183 and 118 domestically in the regular season between LCS and LEC for a 61% win rate. 132 and 67 in playoffs, regional finals. I mean, what the LEC has done the last couple of years with the group stage. 66% win rate. But internationally, 65 and 58 for a 53% win rate, and that's where people give him a lot of flack. He can't get over the hump, quite like Grabs did with G2 prior. Like I said, this team's 5th right now. I can acknowledge it's probably low. If you've listened to the entire video, you will not comment down below probably and say, these rankings are way off, this, that, and the third. I had somebody on the Liquid video do that. And it's like, clearly you didn't watch the video where I acknowledge, some of these players are better than where they're ranked. Stats only are part of it. So that's it for the video. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter, and hope to see you again tomorrow.